2025 Ridgecrest City Council meeting. Can we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mayor Endicott.
Present.
Mr. Blades. Everybody's just trying to touch their little microphones. Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Present.
Okay, we have 5 present. We have a quorum.
All right, next, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Do I have
Second.
motion and second?
Who was the second? I apologize.
Solomon.
Thank you. 5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, next we will retreat to a closed session, conference with legal counsel, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection B, potential litigation, 2 cases. We are now out of closed session. The attorney would like to report on the closed session?
I think we do it.
Yeah, we'll open the meeting first and do the
First,
Pledge of
yeah.
Allegiance and all that.
Oh,
Do I
okay.
have it backwards on yours?
Oh, there, nope, you have it, sorry. All right. I just need to read. All right, so we're back in regular session. If I can get everyone to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing if you would like to for the invocation to follow. Ready, begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Oh God, we come before you today with gratitude. We thank you for being with us throughout this year and guiding us. You never leave us nor forsake us, Lord. Your grace has brought us thus far, and we thank you for the calling you have given to each of the council members to serve this community and be good stewards of the city and its resources. As we close this year, Lord, I especially thank you for our mayor, our city council members, our city manager, our department heads, our staff, our first responders, the hospital staff, and all those people who have worked hard to make this place, the place we call home, a wonderful place for us to live in. I ask you to give your joy and your peace during this Christmas and holiday times. Lord, I especially pray for Ron Strand, who is celebrating his birthday. Lord, thank you for his unstinted support and service to this community for several years. Bless him and guide him in his future. Lord, as we discuss matters that are important to this community, give us your wisdom and your direction. Bless each one of us here today. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Okay. Now we move on to attorney report out of closed session.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. Council took up a couple of pending litigation cases in closed session. No reportable actions were taken.
Thank you. Next, we have public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments, but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not act on an item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name.
Good evening. My name is Mike Lasitra, and I want to discuss some more issues with the 24 Flock AI-powered surveillance cameras positioned around the city. Over the last 30 days, they have captured 62,800 images of motorists in Ridgecrest, or about 2,100 a day. These cameras record every vehicle that passes by them, not just ones connected to a crime. I have previously discussed how known security vulnerabilities with the hardware and how the data may be shared with federal agencies that are not allowed to have it. This is new reporting from 404 Media and Wired magazine that Flock is sending data overseas to be interpreted by Filipino gig workers to train the AI algorithm that interprets the images. The contract that the city signed with Flock explicitly allows for this use of our data. Flock says it can take images captured in Ridgecrest, anonymize them, then task freelancers with interpreting the images and describing them on their computer. These outlets found out about this because the dashboard tracking the progress of the workers, as well as the training materials, were publicly accessible. In order to publish the images they found, they had to blur faces and license plates from the anonymized data that could still be used to identify people and vehicles. Even though Flock says that they don't capture images of people, there are people detected throughout the sample images, and Flock even has a patent on using AI to detect people's race and gender. Who here is comfortable with images capturing our daily routines being sent to foreign gig workers for analysis? The dashboard indicates that they complete about 5,000 annotations a day, which is no small operation. How many people are assigned to comb through pictures of our cars? And what kind of background checks do these gig workers need to perform this job? How many other pieces of this system are currently publicly accessible, but we haven't found out about it yet? I doubt the people of Ridgecrest would like the answers to any of these questions. Another issue worthy of attention is a lawsuit recently filed against the city of San Jose and their operation of over 500 surveillance cameras in their city. The lawsuit asserts that the city is routinely violating the California Constitution by conducting warrantless searches of the stored records of millions of drivers' private habits, movements, and associations. Article 1, Section 1 of the California Constitution declares that all people are free, independent, and possess the right to life, liberty, property, safety, happiness, and privacy. Furthermore, it adds a right to privacy, which has been used to establish protections from government surveillance. Article 1, Section 13 provides that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable seizures and searches may not be violated, and a warrant may not issue except on probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons and things to be seized. The lawsuit says that in 2024, 99.8% of the scans in the database were never matched to a crime or a watch list. These people were being tracked everywhere they went without any probable cause and without a warrant. This lawsuit is just getting started, but we don't need to wait for a judge to rule on something that we don't want. We can choose to protect our own rights and freedoms for ourselves. To the people of Ridgecrest, you can visit our website at deflockridgecrest.org. That's DEFLOCK, ridgecrest.org, and view my sources and educate yourself on the risks of the system to our personal liberties and freedoms. You can also sign our petition to ask the City Council to put this issue on the agenda so we can have a discussion on discontinuing the deployment of the Flock surveillance camera system so that we may be free of unwarranted government surveillance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brenda from Ridgecrest 5051. We started the petition for deflock Ridgecrest. We have 115 people from Ridgecrest who have signed either online or in person. I've provided the list to Rika. There's also an additional 8 people who signed from the area. So I've had to do a lot of learning about the Flock system. I wasn't opposed to cameras before. I have cameras outside my home for home security. My husband has cameras at his business for the same reason. We have shared those videos with the police department before when there has been an incident outside his business that has assisted the police department or completely cooperative with that. We saw maybe the video as a positive, at least I did for a while, but there's obviously bad things with the company, the contract that was signed with the city, and there's just a lot of vulnerabilities of the system. So I was naive to trust a Silicon Valley startup. They are really trying to get to market the fastest way possible without really taking the time and care about people's security and liberties. I'd like to add a motion for the topic of DFLOC Ridgecrest to the agenda for allow the public to comment on this, these new revelations of the FLOC system. And I'd like the council to have a vote on suspending the contract with FLOC.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Tom Wicknick. Just a real thing about reflecting back on our representative government, which you are all representing the city and the citizens of the city of Ridgecrest. And I would like to ask you a question that I don't want an answer, but how do you measure your success in representing the people of the city of Ridgecrest? Now, that should be a pretty easy question to answer, but maybe it's not. And maybe it's not because of this. If you truly represent the people of Ridgecrest, this is really a measurement that you should take into consideration. Have you ever come to a meeting like we have tonight? You've seen the agenda, you've done your research, and you probably know how you're going to vote on most of the items that are on the agenda. But would any of you possibly, just possibly, after having the agenda item and the people comment on it, would you change your mind? Would you consider the fact of what the people brought up and pointed out to you? Would it be possibly strong enough that you just might change your mind, that you came to the meeting tonight thinking you're going to vote one way, but you know what? That person at the podium brought up some good points. And I think I'm going to listen to that person, because that person's not alone, even though he stands at the podium by himself. There's a lot of people that believe and agree with this speaker, even though they're not here to say that. So when you decide you're going to vote, think about that for a moment. Are you able to change your vote and actually represent what the people are asking you to do and how to vote versus what you want to do? Instead of just your priority, can you step aside and say, you know what? I've got to make a decision for the people. Of course, in Washington, we hear this on both sides every day about, you know, we got to vote for the people. We got to vote for the people. Well, here we are on the local level. And I'm asking you to do that tonight as you go through the agenda items. And you know, one way to do that is to have dialogue with the public. Like today, I stand here before you making comments. There is nothing, there is no law or Brown Act rule that says you can't have a discussion with somebody at the podium. That is a policy. Any one of you can ask me a question if you desire. I'm not saying you will, but you can. You choose not to. That is not dialogue. Dialogue goes two ways. Now, as we get to the agenda items, hopefully, if somebody comes up and makes a comment about something, and you have a question about what's being said, you take the time before that person has relegated back to his seat where he can't get back up again, that you would have that discussion and ask the questions. Because that is a way to really represent the people. Have a discussion with the people. Talk back and forth. There's nothing wrong with doing that. because that also brings into transparency. It lets the people know what you're thinking, what your questions are, and what is on your mind. That's a good thing. It's a good thing for the people to understand you are elected representatives. So I would ask you, as I go sit down, think about these comments and think about measuring your success as a representative of us, the people, and how well you do that. And I will finally close with, I would still like to leave on a happy note and wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Tom.
Hello, my name's Carol DeZellum. I'm a member of the 5051 as well. And through the years, I have thought about the cameras that are at our intersections and all, being a good thing to help with traffic issues, things like that, speeding, whatnot. It can help the police department in citations. I've seen, when I lived in Ventura County, I've seen pictures of people who were caught through the frame of the camera, and they were clearly guilty. It was just for traffic issues and citations. And so the images can, help in some ways with these kind of concerns. But as I've heard more about how the company that's involved with this has some serious issues that I wonder about security issues with the systems, things like that, how things can be used in other ways besides just traffic issues. And I just wanted to say that with these days of cameras everywhere, that it's a concern for your own privacy as a citizen. And that's really all I want to say about it. And yeah, maybe we could have a town hall meeting or something. He's suggesting having more of an interaction. Who knows? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other persons wishing to comment of items not on the agenda? No calls? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to council announcements and direction. If anyone has any announcements or direction, I do want to point out, oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I got a few, geez, no, I'm the guy. I have a few announcements before we get started. So do you, this is the direction portion. Chief, do you want to come up and address any of these talking points about Flock?
I can have him come up during city manager comment.
Okay. So I'll start with, I was humbled and blessed to go to the Reads Across America ceremony on Saturday. It was at the same time that the Christmas parade was happening, but it was, of course, moving to be there. I did not have a number before Saturday, but now I do. There are approximately 1,200 veterans buried in that cemetery. We only had wreaths for about 400. And that was, and while it's, yes, it is sad, I will say that at least those 400 were paid for and purchased and put out there. So I will hopefully work with any other entity that wants to help out, and we'll make sure that that's better. And the reason that number, I believe, this is my opinion, that number was low, is because usually Mike Cash joins in and assists the other organizations like the VFW, and executing out on it. And Mike Cash did so much. I think that it says a lot. It's a good, true testament to the man to see that all this time later, we're still seeing how much he was helping the community. So that was huge. I don't want to, quote out of turn, but I believe that he was stepping in and buying a lot of the wreaths that weren't getting bought. So that was huge. And I encourage the community to get out too. So it happens every December. It's usually the second Saturday of December. And it's important to go out there, humbling, to look at those gravestones, to reflect and to remember. That was maybe somewhat of a somber note, but I still look at it as a positive thing because I was still happy to see a lot of the community out there. I think I saw some CBs, some cadets out there, and I saw the VFW, of course, was out there, and some other groups. So there was some folks out there, but we could sure use more community participation. And I'll even put some of that on me. I think I probably should have been better about getting it out on the dais, saying more in public. So I'll try to make sure that happens next year. If you get a chance, go by the North Pole at 713 Aileen. It's huge. It's a lot of lights, a lot of decorations. It's great for the kids to see. They always have hot chocolate. Collect toys for kids in need them. It's a wonderful thing. So again, that's 713 Aileen. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock is a ribbon cutting for Penny Pool. Penny Pool is going to be one of the largest things that we do in this community. And I think it's amazing to see how the community showed up, the town showed up to get this done, and so it'll be nice to see it off and running. So tomorrow at 1300, over where Penny Pool on Warner Street, across from Freedom Park. I'm sure everybody, well, if you have social media, you saw that the Harrier was being moved, and that was pretty cool to see. I think that says a lot about our community and who we are. It got moved out to the China Lake Museum, and I think there it will sit. The Harrier was mothballed, I believe, in February, March, so a sundown of the platform, but it was a formidable platform. And I want to thank the police department for doing, I know you had to do a lot of work in coordination with the base. I know the base could only do so much, and then you had to handle everything as it came out into town. So thank you for making that happen. There was a lot of people I know, like if you're working in that community, especially if you're in the aviation portion of the base, there was some emotional moments, I think, people seeing that platform move through the city. So thank you for your assistance there, Chief. Appreciate it. That's all for now.
Anyone else have any announcements, direction? I want to highlight, I was able to attend the Artists Symposium. I guess the S is part of the symposium, the Advanced Rapid Defense Innovation Symposium yesterday. Councilman Gorman was there as well. And I also wanted to thank the police department for all the work that they did in assisting with keeping that secure, along with the base NCIS individuals. I know it was a truncated time of trying to get that together, but you guys did fantastic. Appreciated seeing you guys out there. And it was a fantastic event, one that I hope to see continue. I want to thank Carrie Crutcher and her whole team, along with the base, for putting that on. It was a good opportunity to see what private entrepreneurs can do with technology and how it can better our defense capability. I think people within DoD understand the limitations of what the DoD can do, and so trying to find other avenues to get better to protect our warfighter. I think that is a honorable and great thing to do, along with trying to get new blood into the area to try and make our warfighters the best prepared and ready to tackle whatever mission comes our way. So, unless there's anything else from council.
Happy birthday, Ron Strand. So, how many years you have served city?
What's that?
How many years you have served city of Ridgecrest?
40.
40 years. Wow. Rika, do you want to sing happy birthday?
Go right ahead and leave that, sir.
Okay, we'll sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ron. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I bet that was a little loud.
And one last thing, I did want to thank the Lions Club for the parade. I was able, Elks, sorry, my bad. The Elks, the other animal. I was able to attend and see that and seeing all the joy and people as they were going through. I don't know, I didn't know about the wreaths. I will try and make that next year, but.
Yeah, and to add on to the Christmas parade, I'm sorry that I wasn't there. And I know a lot of people who are in the Elks Club. Those clubs need people to join up and join in. They do so much. I think that they just like Michael Cash and all he did, the community's not even aware of how much they do. They've done it for so long. And now that some of those clubs, their membership is aging out, then they don't have people around to execute on the work. But specifically for the Christmas parade, my grandfather was an Elk, and now my sister belongs to the Elks Club, and I think she had a key part in arranging that. So if she's listening, just I appreciate your help.
All right. If there isn't anything else, we will move on to the consent calendar. All items listed on consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. There are three consent items, and they are listed on the posted agenda. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? Seeing none, does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Seeing none. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, next we will move on to discussion and action items. The first is item number 4, request for the permanent revocation of business licenses for Motel 6 and Clarion Point Hotels, Ridgecrest Municipal Code Section 9-236.
Honorable Mayor, council members, I am going to step down and take a seat in the well. I've advised staff that I've been in contact with the hotel owner. So for those reasons, my partner and Assistant City Attorney for Ridgecrest, Paul Early, will be advising you on the request that the staff and I will present before you.
Yeah, that chair's a little dodgy. That chair's a little dodgy.
Honorable Mayor, council members, we're here to request, can you, better? Closer now? All right. We're here to request that you consider revoking a business license for 2 hotels in the city. One of them is Clarion Point, the other one is a Motel 6. When the item was written to be posted on the agenda, we have not received much communication from the owner. As a matter of fact, for the period of last 6-7 months, since May, there have been very little communication The owner did provide some documentation, I think made a couple of small payments, but overall,
Clarion Point had paid 2 of the months that were missing, but they didn't pay back ones, and then they missed the ones since then too, so.
yeah.
But they did give us the numbers for what they actually owe us, they just never paid.
So since then, Kelly was able to have the owner come in, and we negotiated an agreement for repayment of all the past due money, plus the attorney's fees and costs, which is just over $88,000 in total, I believe.
Yes.
And that agreement requires the owner to pay in 4 monthly payments, beginning December 15th, and that first payment has been made, and we expect that for the next 3 months, those payments will come in, and the owner will catch up, pay off the debt, and continue to report and pay the current TOT. Just to give you a background, and what we're requesting is that in order to ensure that that occurs, we would ask that you revoke the business license, but stay the revocation conditionally pending completion of the agreement. So if the agreement is not complied with by the property owner, or if he does not pay the current TOT, you would have the ability to, we would have the ability to simply revoke based on your action, if that action is taken today. As a background, again, both of those hotels for the past year have been delinquent or in payment and reporting. We've made several attempts to get compliance, but the debt has increased and continued to increase, and now is at nearly over $80,000 with penalties and interest. So your code, municipal code for Richcrest, provides for your ability to revoke a business license of any business that is not in compliance with the provisions of the code. Payment of transient occupancy tax is a requirement under the code. That money does not belong to the hotel owner. That money belongs to the city, and the hotel owner is a bailee. They hold that money to be turned over to the city. That money is paid by the guests that stay in the hotel. So we have gone through this situation in the past, approximately a year or so ago, and we're glad that we finally obtained contact and compliance, but at the same time, we do want to make sure that this agreement is completed and that the hotel owner pays back the debt and continues to comply with the code. With that, we're open to any questions.
So I guess my first question is, giving them 6-7 months, is that like the normal course before we start looking at revoking, or do we have a timeline of best practice?
We don't have a timeline or best practice. We have done one thing since the last time, and that is we have taken the enforcement and the auditing in-house. In the past, we have gone through an outside contractor to do that. And we always provide the opportunity and hope for cooperation and compliance. Things happen, there are hard times, there are, situations, but we have been attempting to even just obtain contact from this individual. We have served them with notice of violation, we have served them with notice of this hearing, and there simply hasn't been any response. There is no set number of months after which we would come to you. But obviously, if somebody is a month behind or 2 months behind, we kind of work with it. But this is a single hotel owner. He owns both of the hotels. Now, he has told us that this was a management problem and that he wasn't aware of it. True or not, he is the one who is responsible to make sure that our money comes to the city on a timely basis. So this is actually a little bit shorter over time than last time the backlog of payments or lack of payments was over a year, I think.
I believe it was. So ideally, what we would like to do from here on out is, because, since we have brought it in-house, is after 4 months of non-payment, bring it to council.
Okay.
We did give a bit of a leeway this time because we were just bringing it in-house, and we were trying to get everybody comfortable with what we were doing and everything. But ideally, from now on, it'd be 4 months, and we'd come to council.
It also helps them having a payment plan and keeping them open, because if they're open and operating, they have revenue to pay us back. If we shut them down, that revenue goes away, so.
No, I like the 4 months. I think that also, the lump sum doesn't just continue to grow.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
No, just a comment. I think you guys are being very gracious, kind, and I appreciate your direction as you have in the report. So I think it's probably prudent that we move out on that, because I believe that this has gone on long enough.
And we provided a amended notice and order to the council since we've met with the owner and since we made the agreement for repayment, and that notice is also available to the public. But basically, the notice would be notice of state conditional revocation of business license and order to cease and desist operation of Clarion Point Hotel and of Motel 6. And it basically says what I stated. The obligation of the property owner is to comply with the payment agreement, and that is pay 3 now, because he's paid one of them, 3 monthly payments, which would end in March 15th. So in January, February, and March, there's about a $20,000 payment due each month, and stay in compliance with our TOT ordinance and keep up with the current payments of whatever they are, reporting and payments during that period of time.
Yeah. I guess what really bothers me is how they're collecting the money. It's a charge to people already. This is not a guess. It isn't like there was an error. So I appreciate how lenient and how kind you guys are in going through the process, and I understand it's a process we need to go through, but I am very much in favor of moving out on your direction, Martin.
Any other questions from the council? Comments? My last question would be for the stay. Is that something that we're bequeathing to you, that if Kelly tells us that they're not complying, that you would then revoke the license, or how does the stay?
What we're proposing is that you do actually issue a revocation that is stayed until March 15th.
Okay.
So the license is conditionally revoked. He can stay and operate until the agreement is completed. At that point in time, that order goes away.
Okay.
But if the hotel owner does not comply with the terms of the agreement or fails to keep up on the current TOT, that revocation then becomes immediate, and we can move forward with a cease and desist and closing them down.
Okay. And so,
And in addition, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask that is in the recommended action. We are also asking you at this point in time that if that circumstance occurs and he violates the agreement and does not comply with the cease and desist and does not close down his operations, we are authorized to move forward with a civil action to enforce that.
okay. And so starting in April, then we're hoping that the behavior of paying the current TOT by April, we're still just getting.
Yeah, in April is a new day.
Okay.
We're hoping that it continues, yes.
All right, if there's no other council comments, are there any comments from the public?
Just a couple questions. So, how much is owed, the dollar amount?
It is 85,000,
Would you like us to answer? Yes.
Please.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. So it's $85,955.68.
Okay, so you broke that down for 4 payments then?
Correct.
Okay. So at the end of the 4 months, I understand what would happen after the 4 months, that you'd revoke the license. Would you also then bring civil action to collect the TOT at that time too?
You can answer.
Yeah, that was our request of the council. If the council authorizes to initiate that action today, then yes, we would.
Okay. I just thought there'd be action to close them down. I didn't catch about going after the TOT.
Both, it would be concurrent.
Okay. And is it a local owner? I don't care for a name or anything, but is it a local owner?
It is not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Okay. Seeing the recommendation before us, do I have a motion for the recommendation?
I move that
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just one moment before you take that motion, just because I'm not in the room and can't see or tell. Should I assume correctly that the owner is not present? Because this is a public hearing, the applicant would have a right to address and respond to these allegations.
I don't see
No,
him.
he is not here.
He is not here.
Okay, thank you.
Fair. Thank you for the catch.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate that. I move that we approve the action requested, and I'll actually read it here for clarity, because I think, so staff requests the council receive and consider the staff report and supporting documents along with any public testimony, issue an order permanently revoking the business licenses for Clarion Point and Motel 6 at the hearing of revocation for those licenses, and authorize legal action to gain compliance with the revocation order if necessary. And so-
The only amendment to that I would add is that,
Mhm.
that revocation, as we discussed, would be stayed.
Mhm.
It's a conditional revocation, stayed until March 15th, or a violation of the agreement between now and then.
Thank you, Martin. So that is, my motion is to take into consideration Martin's change.
I second the motion.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, next we will move on to discussion or action item number 5, resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council approving an amendment to the professional service agreement with Llewellyn and Moody, Inc. for consulting services for a value engineering study.
Yes, we have an agreement with Llewellyn and Moody for the design of the Penny Pool Complex. The city wanted to perform a value engineering study to determine areas that could be eliminated or simplified to reduce costs. It involves determining the areas plus revising a lot of drawings for the construction set. Llewellyn and Moody provide a proposal of $80,910. The city staff reviewed the proposal. We determined it was accurate, fair, and reasonable. And we would like to amend the current agreement to include this proposal, and Measure P funds would be used. That's
Okay.
basically it.
Any council members wishing to comment or question?
Nothing for me.
They would have to come up with cost savings in excess of the contract costs that they're under, right?
The proposed reductions were over $100 million
Oh, my.
that we addressed when we awarded the pool, all those 7 options.
Sure.
If you looked at it, it was between, I think, $1 and $1.5 million.
I thank you.
Will this impede or slow down the progress of the start date?
No, this will not affect the groundbreaking or the actual start of work in January.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good move to see if we can create, some cost savings in it. I think the investment is worth the potential outcome.
Yep, that was the 7 items we looked at at
Mhm.
that one meeting.
Are there any members of the public that wish to comment or question? Seeing none, Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Next, we will move on to discussion or action item number 6, discussion regarding the Board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority, IWVGA, regular meeting and/or the potential removal from or different placement of this item on the city council agenda.
Yeah, I originally asked for this, so it was a housekeeping, moving stuff around the agenda was my original intent, but I don't want to see it pulled off the agenda. I don't think that's a good idea. My original suggestion was, let's see it in the committees section, but, you know, over to the council, up to discussion. It was, lack of a better term, housekeeping. Because the thing with the groundwater authority is we can pontificate and we can have discussion as we should, but at the end of the day, we can't move out and take, you know, direction or legal action for another board here. So constantly entertaining and playing with that all the time. I've had a few quick conversations with Martin where he has said, hey, you know, you guys sort of dance around the legal edge here, so just consider it. It's that, and that's not, Martin didn't ask me to do this. This was my own, like, hey, maybe we should consider it. Over to the rest of the board, see what you guys think.
Councilman Hayman, you're also listed if you wanted to add anything.
To Councilman Blades or Mayor Pro Tem Blades? Yeah, you know, I see, you know, some good reasoning to move it. I think it would still be sufficient, but in having a week to assess it, and I've heard from a few other individuals out in the public, you know, I would oppose the action to move it out of its current state. So I would say at this point, I'm in favor of leaving it as it is. It allows the public to make comment, and so while I commend here Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Blades' thoughts and process on it, I would oppose it at this time.
Are there any other comments by council members?
I'm in agreement with Councilman Hayman. The overall issue that the Groundwater Authority's been covering over the years has not been getting enough public discussion, and this offers a bit of a venue in that direction, one that I'd like to see continued.
Councilman Rajaraman, do you have any?
I'll wait for public comment.
Okay. You know, I guess I understand the desire to move it, mainly because in the past however many times that you've done it, the questions have led to answers of no comment. But, you know, I do agree that having it here, because your meeting's at 11 o'clock, or what time is the normal GA meeting?
Starts at 10.
10? Yeah. On a regular working day. And so I think having the opportunity for individuals that potentially watch it to then come and ask questions, you know, with good intent, I think provides a good opportunity for them to actually hear how our representative thinks about it. But yeah, anyone else?
Well, no, if I may. So even moving it, and I'm not arguing for or against my own position, actually. Even moving it doesn't change people's ability to interact. People still interact with the board that it belongs to. So the GA people can call in there. Now, I will say, and it has been an issue with me from, I mean, gosh, when I got on the council in 2020, I've never appreciated that it's in the middle of the day. And I know it's hard for people to call in. I mean, I don't even get to, I usually have to play catch up. And then, you know, if I call Scott, like, hey man, what happened? Anything important? I mean, that's not the same thing. So I get it. It's not convenient. I'm not trying to say that it is. But people can definitely still interact with the public. Zero public interaction is being taken away, no matter what we do tonight. That's not being taken away. However, to argue against my original point for a second, I see the use in it staying where it is. I can see the use in it, so.
All right, with that, we will open it up to public comment, if any members of the public wish to comment.
Yes, I'm happy to hear how most of you are stating your position already, which I don't have to get all crazy now, okay? But the thing to remember is that, like I said earlier, getting input from the public is so important. I'm going to be the first to say that since it was added to the agenda, and the people were begging for it to be added to the agenda so they could talk about it, because 90% of the people can't go during the day, just like you already brought up, nor they do even have time to watch it and call in. It's just not possible for so many people. So the opportunity to have our representative here, Mr. Heyman, get to just provide input to the public on what's going on. Sometimes it's nothing, it's just mundane things that he brings up, which is great. But then there's been times where we've had very good subject conversation. There's been times when people can come to the podium and ask questions of Mr. Heyman, and he provides the answers. There were many things that were brought up that the people then heard about what's going on at the GA when they don't have the opportunity to do it during the day. And I know for myself, I've asked a number of questions for Mr. Heyman, and he's always answered them. And I appreciate that. And if I'm appreciating it, I'm sure other people are listening and appreciating it too. Because along with that is the transparency of Mr. Heyman and how he's representing the city on the GA. Because he is in front of us telling what he's saying, what he's doing, and what the GA is doing. Because there's so much going on within the GA that most people just can't keep up with it. And I'll plead guilty that I don't pay attention as much as I should. But I know there are a lot of people that do. But at the same time, this is our opportunity to have a discussion and dialogue with our representative, not in a committee or say, well, just come up and make comments during public comment. Well, you already know how I feel about the public comment portion of the meeting. There's never any dialogue during public comment, during that portion of the meeting. So that's why having it on the agenda, I think, is a good thing. It shows your willingness to hear from the people and not just tuck it away and let Mr. Heyman do whatever he wants to do. And that is not a negative statement towards Mr. Heyman in any way, just that it's a statement saying it's good to have a discussion with the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other persons wishing to comment? Red on the light, did you want to comment now that you've heard from the public?
Sure, yeah. Couple of questions. I don't know who can answer this. So when did we bring this item to be an agenda item, and why did we do that at that point?
Could you repeat that one more time, Solomon? I'm sorry.
No, when did it become an agenda item, started?
This item tonight?
No.
On the GA as an agenda
So,
item?
so I think that Ron could probably remember.
I think I can answer
But there,
that.
we did have we've had this discussion a few different times, I recall.
It's been a couple of councils that have placed it, taken it off, placed it. Usually, depending upon how controversial the GA became, it would be asked to be put on the agenda, and then it'd be asked to be taken off. So I would say it first started about 2018.
I would say from my initial time on the council and on the as a director for the GA, when we had the discussion, I was in favor of it out of transparency and for the benefit of the public to have a means to come and air and speak and ask questions. And so it's been the entire time that I've been on the GA and on this council. And the exact date, I don't know, but it was somewhere in the beginning of it.
So
Yeah, I
now
believe,
because this is becoming, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe, I think it was Mayor Peggy Breeden was the first one to put it on the agenda to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So there is a reason for putting it on the agenda at that time?
There was at that time?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think that the council wanted to be more transparent with the community and be able to discuss the city's position on the GA, because remember, the GA just was in its infancy stage, beginning in 15, 16. I came on board as city manager in July of 17. And so and then the city took over for the first time in January of 18 as the general manager of the GA. And so there's a little bit more information that Mayor Breeden at the time wanted to get out to the public. And so it's been kind of like this hit or miss thing. You know, it really depends on the council and whether or not they want this on the agenda, because there is plenty enough ability for people to engage the GA. It's on YouTube. They can call in just like they can here. But I think it's been more of a council prerogative just to have a prophylactic approach to being able to answer the public's questions and just being as transparent as we can about it. There are times when it's just Scott making a statement about the meeting and maybe Kyle asking a couple of questions, and there are times where the public will come in and ask questions, so it really just depends.
So by moving it to a committee meeting, so we are depriving the public of the transparency and.
Well, in some regard, no, because the actual meeting occurs during the GA meeting. Now, if the public wants a second bite at the apple from the city's perspective, then yes, taking it off of the agenda, put on the committee, we'll just have Mr. Heyman make a report with no input from the public. Well, as keeping it on as a discussion item, you now allow the public to be able to come in and ask questions of what Councilman Heyman reports on. That'd be the difference.
And if I may add to that, Mayor. Yeah. With a clear understanding that that is still purely a council decision. The public is legally permitted to comment on action items on the agenda. A report from GA, whether that's on the agenda or in a committee, is not an action. So from a legal standpoint, the Brown Act standpoint, you don't need to take public comment on that item, no matter where it sits on the agenda. So again, and as mentioned before, the council conducts its meeting very, very transparently and involves the public in them. But from a legal standpoint, just so everybody's clear, it doesn't matter where it would be on the agenda. Legally, you're not mandated to allow public comment on that item.
So hey, if I can, so I've heard the conversation here, which I appreciate, and I think it's telling. I have no problem withdrawing my request.
All right. So then, you just withdrew it, so we don't. Yeah. Okay. All right. That works. Next, we will move on.
Do I need to report out?
Do you did have a
stuff
GA
to
meeting?
report out?
We did meet. It's on the agenda.
It's a discussion regarding and/or the meeting.
Oh.
So-
Okay. Yep.
I'll go ahead. All right, so the GA did meet last Wednesday on December 10th. It was a rather end-of-year business type meeting, but I will go over the various agenda items and give you an update. Item number 10 was board review and approval of resolution 02-25 regarding the 2026 board rotation. The rotation of the board will stay the same as it has in the previous year. The city will remain chair, with the county being vice chair. County supervisor will be chair of the Board of County Supervisors, and there was a little bit of, I guess you could just say stress on that end, so it will stay the same. Item number 10 was board review and approval of resolution 03-25 establishing policy for remote teleconference appearances. There's been some changes and new laws, legal precedents been presented for the teleconferencing. So basically, the brunt of it is, I think, they can have two. Individual can have two remote teleconferences. They've just tightened up the ability to have too many teleconferences. There's some other small, aspects of it and how it has to go about being performed. But so we'll probably see the other directors more often, and I don't know how that affects other meetings outside of the GA, but so there is some changes in teleconferencing now. So item number 11, board review and approval of professional services agreement with Regional Government Services, RGS. That was approved. Item number 12 was the board review and approval of 2026 legislative priorities with Capital Corps Group for the work plan and contract amendment. That was approved. Item number 13 was board review and approval of agreement with Westbound Communications, Inc. for public outreach services, and that too was approved. Item number 14 was the Provost and Pritchard change orders for the imported water pipeline. That and item number 15, which is let me go back to 14, with the Provost and Pritchard change orders for the imported water pipeline. That item was approved. Items number 15 was the board review and approval of agreement with Provost and Pritchard for design services. That agenda item, and item number 16, which is the board review and approval of agreement with Provost and Pritchard for CEQA NEPA documentation services. Those were moved back, pushed back to be a little more discussion about and addressed at a future board meeting. And that concludes the items that we covered last Wednesday. So with that, we'll bring it back to the council if anybody has any questions.
So I have one just because it affected me at LAFCO, the remote work.
Yes.
So apparently they had found that there is some extenuating circumstances for remote to continue. For me at LAFCO, it's because I have to drive 2 hours. And so that they've actually extended my number from 2 to a greater amount.
Yeah.
Is that the same for?
It is, and I think it applies to the circumstances of the individual, so you have to kind of, like in your case, delve into it a little deeper and find out, do you qualify for that carve-out? And if you do, make sure you follow by, the guidelines that's being set by the state, because they have changed, but, yeah.
It was a welcome change for me. I'm happy that I don't have to drive that much. I still would like to go and attend some of them, but I'll have the latitude to be here more, so.
Mr. Blades, Solomon, Skip?
A peripheral thought, this may come up a little later this evening, but I listen to the Groundwater Authority meetings and have been. Often it's hard for me to tell who's doing the talking because it's in my shop. I broadcast it over a nice big amplifier, and when I'm not making too much noise, I actually hear it and appreciate it, and I learn from it. I wish that, though, on the YouTube presentation of the Groundwater Authority's meeting, perhaps 24 hours or perhaps 48 hours after the meeting, I wish that the comments under the YouTube video on your computer were enabled. And who is it that decided they wouldn't be, and why? Wouldn't that promote discussion without, or is there some legal reason why after the real-time meeting has ended and 1 or 2 days after, comments need to be still disenabled?
I think I can answer that question. I know that the board did vote on a social media account to turn off comments. So I would assume that any YouTube video would still fall under that policy of the board. And that was a policy that was born out of Inyo County and San Bernardino County, and I believe the Water District voted against it. And I think the county and the city voted to have the comments, but so I think right now board policy is to turn off the comments.
Well, real time, I can see the awkwardness of having people reading comments coming in from the outside while the meeting's taking place. But if we wait 1 or 2 days.
I'm just saying that that's their board policy that was presented. The Water District and Inyo County and San Bernardino County voted to turn off all social media comments. And the city and the county wanted them, but the other parties didn't, so that's the current policy.
But we at the city level for, let's say this meeting, we could choose to enable the comments a day or so afterwards, right?
True, we do have a robust social media accounts where people comment quite often, that I think directing people to our current social media is probably where everybody needs to go. I mean, the city of Ridgecrest has been extremely open. In fact, this new state law about allowing people to call in, we're ahead of the game. A lot of cities are now struggling to figure out how they're gonna allow people to call in real time. So I've always been opposed to doing it live, because I think it's, probably not appropriate to have commentary go as the meeting goes.
I agree.
We've always just tried to direct our social media to a few channels, because I think it's more effective. So,
I'm seeing a counselor.
yeah.
We need to bring it back to the item, please.
Okay. Did you have any other comments, Ron?
No,
just-
I'll address some issues about the GA and how we're transitioning my GA responsibilities to Travis Reed, so I have that during the city manager comment.
I do have one question, and it's just a confusion. You had talked about Provost and Pritchard for designing the pipeline. I guess I was under the impression that was Army Corps of Engineers. Is there
No.
Army Corps is going to,
partnership or something?
we are working with the Army Corps of Engineer, and then we also have Omar with Blue Mountain, who is kind of being a liaison and oversight consultant for the coalescing of the Provost Pritchard design and the Army Corps of Engineers taking over that and doing the actual work.
Right, we got a $7.6 million grant to design the pipeline from the state. So what happens is the GA is responsible for designing the pipeline and then turning the design over to the Army Corps of Engineers. And that's where Blue Mountain has come into play. And I'll comment a little bit more on the city manager comment about their review of the plans and how there's a strong suspicion that we're going to be within the $200 million budget for the build. And I could talk about that a little more during the city manager comments, but that's how it goes. We turn the plans over to Army Corps of Engineers, and then they take the plans and build the pipeline.
And so for that, did it have to be 100% designed to hand it
Correct.
over? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
That's where we're in the process right now of going from 90 to 100%.
Yeah, that was just my confusion,
Yeah.
so. Any other council comments? Are there any members of the public that wish to comment? I see a green light, so I assume we have someone on the phone. I don't know if he's giving me a thumbs up. He's transferring. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, you are on. If
Okay, thank you. I actually just wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind about the GA. Now that the Searles Valley Minerals is settled and the farmers are essentially settled, at least everybody's still involved in the adjudication, and they will be through the final phase. But I'm kind of thinking that the structure of the GA right now, they set these up so that there would be local control, and we don't really have local control with San Bernardino and even Kern County. It's not local. They're people from Bakersfield. The Inyo is involved. I don't know that their agenda coincides with the Indian Wells Valley. Or it may even be a conflict that they have with the city of Ridgecrest, that they're involved. So I don't know how this GA going forward is going to operate well within the concept of having local control, and then that brings me to the idea that you've got a representative on the GA with Councilman Heyman. When you brought this issue up at the last meeting, you mentioned that you don't really have any input, that he's the decision maker for the city. And I don't believe that's correct. In other words, I think you're you're able to give him instruction on issues at the GA, and I don't know that that requires a motion or a separate agenda item, but I don't believe that one person on the council who's the representative has the freedom necessarily to do whatever he wants to do without some kind of input from the council. And then the next thought I have is, now that you've seen the presentation of AB 1413 at the state legislature, it's not a matter of having that on an agenda anymore, I wouldn't think. And I believe the city of Ridgecrest should have that on an agenda item and oppose it. In other words, what AB 1413 does is it tries to subvert the adjudication process, and it's what you would expect coming from the environmentalists in Sacramento. They want the science to be settled, and the science is not settled on the Indian Wells Valley. It's far from it. It's old science that was used to develop the GSP. And the new science is amazing. And I'll close it up by saying one thing. I just checked the other day on the water levels for the entire Colorado River project, including Lake Mead and Mojave. And their water levels are down so far that the total acreage in storage right now is 21 million acre feet. And by way of comparison, the Indian Wells Valley has over 35 million acre feet of groundwater in storage. So that gives you an idea of how fortunate the Indian Wells Valley is to have this underground reservoir that doesn't evaporate from thousands of years of accumulation of water and rain. And it's pretty amazing to me to think about the desert, the Mojave Desert, holding that much water in storage in your valley. So anyway, I'll close it and wish you all Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other persons wishing to provide comment or question? Seeing none, I think we're done. Moving on to committee reports. The next meeting of the Economic Development Committee will be January 5th, 2026 at 5:15 City Hall Conference Room B on the first floor. We do have a report from the Finance Committee from December 9th.
Finance did meet. Happy to say that fiscally we are on track for the first quarter. The sales tax, the TOT, the Measure V, Measure P, and property taxes are all coming out on right on track for the first quarter. So that's all I have to report. So good news.
All right. The next meeting for the infrastructure committee, will be at 5 p.m. City Hall, Conference Room B on January 22nd, 2026. The meeting on Christmas Day has been canceled. Next Parks, Rec, and Quality of Life meeting will happen at 5:30 here in City Hall Council Chambers, January 6th, 2026. And that moves us on to other committees, boards, or commissions. Are there any other committees, boards? No. All right, and that leads us to the city manager report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just want to give you an update on the GA and how I'm transitioning it to Travis Reed. As you know, the last 8.5 years, I've spent about a third of my time working on the Groundwater Authority. We are in a really good spot, I think, with Travis coming in, with his knowledge of the water district and their system, and him being an engineer, we'll be able to take it from more of the political sense of how do we now get this pipeline into town? Good news is that the Groundwater Authority has hired a consulting firm, Blue Mountain, and has hired Omar Dandishi to work with Provost and Pritchard to kind of get to that 100% design and to get turned over to the Corps of Army Engineer. Part of his review is also to look at how that pipe's been designed. And they have found that there were some aspects of that pipeline that were being designed in such a way that were making the cost pretty extraordinary. For instance, they were looking at designing 32 miles of that pipeline along Garlock Road to be 15 feet underground and still, instead of the normal 5 foot. There are a couple sections that need to probably go deep to protect the pipe, but there's a way of bringing this pipe a little bit cheaper. And I think it looks like right now, Omar's fairly certain that we're looking at the $200 million amount. I know that we have, the Water District has had their report out there. I've had issues from day one because they double tapped contingencies. They put $80 million in there to fix their system. They put water purchases in there, so it was really blown way out of proportion. So I think it's really good news that at this point in time, it looks like the pipeline is going to be where we thought it was going to be at. We've also gotten feedback from the Corps of Army Engineers, who's also agreeing with that too, that we may be within our budget. Right now, we currently have the WRDA funding that's 75% of the cost of the pipeline. So being able to have Travis involved in that design aspect of it should give the city a little bit more information, one-to-one information, in working with them. Because obviously this pipeline is our lifeline for the city. It is our growth. It is our sustainability. And I think it's one heck of an insurance policy, especially if we have the federal government that's going to pay for most of it. And if we could work together with the Water District and get their cooperation in designing this thing, we could probably bring this thing in a lot cheaper than if we continue to fight. As you know, we've had the Searle settlement, which I think is wonderful news. I have personally been against the Water District having access to that water all along for a variety of reasons. I don't think that that water needs to be anywhere near our drinking water or our groundwater table. I think that having that water go to Searles Valley for their industrial use is the best use to that water. It could bring upwards to 2,000 acre feet to Searles, which will address some of our cone of depression issues that we have due to Searles' pumping and the Water District's pumping. So it really allows a relief on the basin. It's still not going to be enough to alleviate the need for the pipeline, but at least this allows us to put this water to beneficial use and quit pumping as much water out of the basin as we possibly can. Travis and I reached out to the president of Searles yesterday, and we are going to start meeting with them and their representatives next month to start working on an agreement between them and the city for them to be able to purchase our effluent from the city, which I think is really great. The only sad part about this, the very ironic part, is that although the GA has settled the litigation with Searles, we now have the Water District coming in and filing a motion to pick up the Searles litigation against the GA. So that's currently being argued. Those briefs are being written right now, and that should be in front of the judge. I don't know if the judge is going to go along with it because the initial Water District stand on that was they supported the GA, and now they want to flip-flop and now continue this expensive litigation involving the GA and the community. And that's all a matter of public record if people need to see the court documents on that. Currently, between both sides, we're paying about $3 million a year towards this lawsuit. Right now, if the judge denies the Water District's request to continue suing the GA, there's only one lawsuit that's still remaining. The GA has no lawsuits with anybody in the valley. That's all been resolved. The only lawsuit we have now is the lawsuit that was brought up by the Water District for the full adjudication, which recently led to the removal of the Federal Reserve right, or the reduction significantly of the Federal Reserve right from the Navy, from 7,650 down to 2,008 acre feet, which then takes about 4,200 acre feet of water that the district gets to pump for free, now potentially at risk, which means we might have to buy more imported water or buy water from either Searles or Meadowbrook, who may get a right that they would not have had before. So this leads into the mediation. It does look like that we are going to be in mediation, the GA, the city, the county, the water district, and maybe a couple other entities, beginning in February. And that will be a mediation to discuss the phase 2, in other words, the safe yield. I think mediation is good. I think it's going to bring up a lot of points to both sides. Mr. Mayor, Councilman Blades, Councilman Hayman, I know you've been privy to our independent hydrologists that have commented on the Water District's model, and I think we can all agree that there are issues with the Water District's model, that they are not going to be able to prove up that the safe yield is 14,300 acre feet. In fact, I think it's going to be far less than that. So I think through the negotiation process, we'll be able to work our way through that and be able to maybe have a mediator come to both sides, and maybe there might be a little bit of give on the Navy side, because the Navy had, their water model says it's 7,650. So there may be a little bit of room for compromise there, but I do not think that there is enough room for compromise to be able to accept a model that is blatantly not working. So I think me leaving the GA and Travis coming in, because I think we're going to get to the point now where we have to get the pipeline in, and I think Travis is going to do an excellent job of being able to work with the district, because right now the district has said no imported water, no put in their system, no percolating, no direct inject. And I know that some of us here have met with the district in the past and has asked them to cooperate, and currently we don't have an answer. But I do think, and I am positive, that through mediation, we can maybe come up with a way of getting a path forward. If not, then we'll have a safe yield trial in June of 26, and we'll let the court decide. So I just want to let the council know that I think Councilman Hayman and Supervisor Peters are doing a great job for our community. They are doing the work that most people do not want to do. When I came here 40 years ago, the first thing I learned about is we had a water problem. Everybody agrees we have a water problem until now we have to have a solution. I think for the benefit of our community, continuing our quality of life, we have to continue forward in looking at this pipeline. There may be a point in time when it turns out it's too expensive and we abandon it. And then we just live with the consequences. But I don't think, I think as your city manager, I could ever be part of basically telling the city of Ridgecrest, you're no longer gonna grow, this is it. If you wanna build, you have to tear down a house and buy a meter to build. And I do not think that that is us supporting the Navy. I think we have this word of funding for a reason. We have that word of funding because the Navy is in support of this. The Navy has invested enough in the water model, and I do think eventually they are going to appeal that Federal Reserve right decision, and I do think they have a strong possibility of winning that. I know that right now we need to do whatever we can to work with the Water District, because even further yet, they're opposing the Navy's request for continuance for discovery on the safe yield. Everybody knows the government was shut down for 5 to 6 weeks. But even now, the Water District's still opposing their request for continuance to gather more information to be able to represent or protect their water model that they paid to have developed. So I'm still hopeful that the Water District's gonna come around, but all appearances are is we're still they're still fighting. They're still wanting to continue the lawsuit that Searles dismissed. They're opposing the Navy's request for continued of a discovery. So I think this council and the city needs to continue to work forward to try and resolve this water issue. Not avoid it, not kick the can down the road, because this is a significant thing for our community. And I think we need to take it serious. And I think that it's easy to say, I mean, there's been craziness about Little Lake. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we put that thing to bed. And LADWP, Mr. Mayor, you and I met with Inyo County. We've checked all these boxes not once, but 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and they still keep coming up because they're just red herrings. So as I leave as your city manager, I think that is important for our community to continue down this path, to continue the tough work of trying to come up with sustainability and the ability to grow, because I'll be frank with you, there's no way I could have ever, as your city manager, stamped off saying, we're no longer growing. That's not a place where I think we should be. And with that, thank you very much. Oh, I do have the chief to talk about Flock here.
Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager Strand, thanks for having me up here to talk a little bit about Flock. I appreciate the LaCitra's position, and I think it's great that they have a community organization that makes us hold ourselves accountable to the product that we've chosen to use. That said, I think some of their information is anecdotal. I reached out to Flock with some specific questions. I appreciate you providing this information specifically from GainSec, and I read over a little bit of what you provided today. Flock safety has never been breached. So while the video put out by GainSec suggests that a breach is possible, the video used is a version of the camera that was an early version that was never put into the system. Therefore, the examples they're using to show that it's easy to access a physical camera is a camera that never had the security features installed. So it would be tantamount, because we have the base here in town, of the base purchasing a computer, and by the time they get around to using it, it's antiquated, and it never gets the security features put on it. If we put that out for somebody with any computer knowledge, certainly more than me, they would easily be able to hack that computer. But I would offer that once the security features are put in by the security folks in the government, that it would be much more difficult to hack that computer. They even put a qualifier in their report that, you know, it's not really, they don't say it's not factual, but they qualify it with lots of language that says, hey, we're not trying to say that it is, but it sure looks like it could be. I'm not techie enough to tell you that that it could never be hacked. If you ask Flock, they say that they're not hackable. But, you know, in looking at even the federal government, the Office of Personnel Management was hacked in 2021 with a breach of 22.1 million people. And I would like to think that the United States government is one of the most secure places in the world, and hackers are that good. That said, more recently you have some with the National Public Data, March of 24, Change Healthcare ransomware, March of 24. So there are lots of breach incidents that have occurred, but I'll reiterate that Flock Safety has not had a breach. So while it may be possible, either nobody really cares about the data, or they're doing a good job. When we look at how Flock works, sometimes people don't understand. Flock simply tells us that our input is recognized. We're looking for a certain thing. It tells us if that is seen. Flock has no access to the government database, CLETS, in California, where we verify who owns the car and the details for which it is wanted. Flock just tells us, we see your plate. Even if you hacked Flock's data, it's never been hacked before. You would only get that a license plate was seen at a certain location. I would offer that the OPM breach offered a lot more than just where your car had been. And we've discussed before, as long as you have a phone in your pocket, and I would venture to say, I was going to say with the exception of the child, but she's holding a phone. Everybody in here has a phone. If you really don't want to be tracked, I suggest that you get rid of your phone and go back to a landline, although that will no longer be supported soon, so I don't know what you're going to do. I suppose you could write a letter to your friends. The post office is still in business. So with regard to the other things, and this is available on Flock's website, you probably already looked at it. It's their little sheet on the security measures. Again, I'm not a tech person, but they talk about ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, and NIST 800-53, and some other stuff. I'm just reading it. Smarter people than me can figure out what that means. I don't know if that's my lab results or some security thing, but Flock says it's security. Not only have they not been hacked, they use multi-factor authentication, which is the standard even within the city now. There is no evidence that any foreign adversary has ever accessed Flock. Somebody, I think the nice lady out there referenced it as a startup. They've been around since 2017, so while they may have been a startup at some point, it's a national company that they have a lot of cameras out now, and it seems to be working. The Supreme Court hasn't taken a look at a Flock case yet. The case in Virginia got overturned. They get to use it. They're still in litigation. Eventually, the Supreme Court will decide how they feel about Flock, so we'll patiently wait for that. Some other misleading information, even in the information provided today, it says here, local police have performed numerous lookups for ICE in the Flock system. I would ask whoever, it doesn't say where this was produced, but I can tell you it was not in the city of Ridgecrest. There are 0 times that we have done that. I don't even know how anybody would get that data, because you'd have to get it. You would have to have a police department tell you that they've done that. And if that's the case, I wish they would just go ahead and print which police department has done it. We are not. Our policy is online. It's very clear what we use Flock for. On behalf of the value of Flock, I will say that just recently, we had somebody walk into somebody's house committing a burglary, and they fled before we could get there. Because of Flock, we located that vehicle and were able to make an arrest. Without Flock, person's gone. No way we're going to find them. We don't know what to look for. So Flock told us what to look for, and our officers were diligent in going out and looking for that plate on that vehicle. Without Flock, we are less effective at protecting the community. I can appreciate where you come from a privacy perspective, but I have no idea what your license plate is or where you've been, because you've not been engaged in a crime, nor been a crime victim where your vehicle is involved. So I don't know if your vehicle is even in Flock. Out of the thousands of hits every day, we look at the ones associated with criminal activity. So while I appreciate your position, at this point, there's no evidence to suggest, other than the anecdotal evidence from some of these online bloggers, that there's any risk to the public via Flock. And I will continue to look at the information that's available. I've read all the information you gave me last time. I don't understand most of it, but the stuff that I do understand, I don't see anything in there that makes me concerned, where I would make a recommendation to the city that we abandon the Flock program because of the great value that it provides from a safety perspective. And as always, my office is open to anyone who wants to come in and talk about Flock on a one-on-one. Come by and stop by the office and visit. I'm happy to make time for you. People that are here, people that are online. I work for the community. I'm happy to answer your questions. You may not love my answers, but I'll answer for you. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
You want to go? Sure. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your comments tonight. I just want to say that, I had to think pretty long and hard about Flock when we first assessed it, and one of the public commenters tonight brought up an interesting point that I had thought of before, and that was, we have cameras at home for safety and security and to help us keep our families safe. And it dawned on me, the city is a lot like a big house with a big family. And the cameras do the same thing. They flag people who have committed or wish to commit ill intent upon the citizens in our society. And the cameras have proven time and again that I know personally, like the home camera where someone very close to me, they were had an attempted break-in, and so by reviewing their cameras later that night, we're able to see an individual and call the police department back up at 1 in the morning and say, hey, this is what I found. And they had the fella arrested by 7:30 in the morning. There was a horrible murder in Idaho that I believe, I'm correct on this, that the cameras were a very big part of tracking and helping to solve the case and to track this guy down and that had murdered some college students. So I think we have a right as citizens to have a safe environment around us. That's kind of a right too. And so I wholeheartedly feel like the cameras, and based on what the chief is saying, you can be hacked in by a lot of different areas. I mean, our credit cards, most everything that a person does, somewhere you read about it where some system has been hacked, and there's constant, due diligence to try to counter that, and that's going to go on as long as there's bad people in that environment. But I do look at it as the same perspective as what you had brought up earlier about and how it's okay for us to use them at home, but I think in my assessment, it's okay to use them from the city's perspective to keep you and the rest of us all safe. And but play that fine line of not violating our rights on a privacy issue, and that's a fine line. But I think it's a beneficial one to the community.
So I'll keep my comments brief. Civil liberties are important to me. I think they're important to most individuals that go through this. Congress actually, there was a report written August of last year titled Law Enforcement and Technology, Use of Automated License Plate Readers. And generally the argument that the author puts forward is that it is that balancing line between safety and privacy. And ultimately, it's what we are willing to stomach for that safety, privacy balance. The article has actually a lot of really good things that I would like to sit down with you and talk through and really go through the policy that we have in place to see how we are balancing that. And we can do that one-on-one. I know since I started, civil liberties has apparently been my thing, but there are a lot of good ideas. The article's overly repetitive in stating that it's privacy versus security, which is generally the complaint with most civil liberties type of complaints. I will continue to look into it. In the flock, I'll be following the Virginia case as well. But yeah, that's, again, it's how much we want to stomach. Because as the chief has mentioned, as Councilman Heyman has mentioned, there's been a lot of good that has come out of flock. And if we can mitigate the bad or try to tamper.
Is this your last meeting? No.
To tamper the fear of the public for prying eyes, I think we can work to try to better that. You guys do a great job of highlighting when flock has been successful. I don't know how you can highlight how it's not been successful. It seems like a counterfactual, but we can, I think that there are things that I think we can look at through the policy to see how we're actually protecting civil liberties.
Thank you. The only thing I would add to that is anytime there's a specific example, a tangible example of a flock problem as opposed to just ideas, please, anybody who has that, let me know.
All right, with that, we will move on to future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items that the council wishes to make? No? All right, next to mayor and council comments. Councilman Gorman, would you like to lead us off?
I had lots, but I choose not to. We're about to lose when he retires a city manager, one that we've been blessed with over the years. I've seen a few come and go. I hope we organize something for that last meeting.
Do you have a favorite Star Wars thing? Travis can.
No, I think Rick has got a plaque that I can take away. It may be my front plate, that's all I'm asking for.
Councilman Hammond?
I'll save my comments for the city manager for the last meeting. But I will preface that by I appreciate him greatly. I don't think the city has ever, it's going to be a hard one to fill them shoes, but we got an individual sitting out front here that I think is a very highly skilled. Yes, you, Travis. But anyway, so, but yeah, we'll discuss that later. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and that's it. So,
Councilman Rajarat?
Just want to wish Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays for all of you and your families. As we are coming to the end of this year, I mean, we had so many achievements during this year. So at the same time, we also face some challenges. So we celebrate our achievements and learn from the challenges and look forward with a positive attitude. And I want to thank my fellow council members for the direction which we have given to the staff. And especially want to thank the staff immensely for the hard work you have done. So without you, even though we have a direction, without you putting that into action, nothing would have happened. So you guys have really taken the burden and you took everything into your hands, and we have seen results because of your hard work. Thank you very much for what you have done during the past year. So thank City Manager Ron Strand for 40 years of service. I mean, the world is going and the young generation is coming. So we have a young team. I mean, there is a mix of a couple of old people like me. No. So wish you good luck in the coming year. So I know you guys are going to do great things. So appreciate what you do for this community. Thank you.
Councilman Blades?
I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
thank you.
So I would like to highlight the tree lighting again. Really thank you to city staff, all the hard work that went into that. I was in a unique position where I was up on the stage so I could look out and see everyone not looking at me, but looking at behind me and seeing the awe and wonder on their face. Just a fantastic opportunity. The drones were fantastic. I've already been asked how we're going to top that, so way to tee that one up.
500 drones instead of 150.
There we go. More drones. The other thing I do want to highlight, I like to do on this day so that we can think of dates in history. This one's actually important to me. December 17th, 2010 was my first day at VX9. I remember driving in with my wife. We had MapQuest directions because GPS directions were not a thing at that point. And so I did not know much about China Lake coming out here, other than I was moving to California from Virginia, and I was going to China Lake. So we packed our swimsuits. We were excited to see the water. And so as we went through Johannesburg, my wife looked at me. She was about 5 months pregnant at that point. We had our dog with us. Is the water coming? I was like, it's gotta. It says after this turn, we're only a couple miles away, and there was no water. But you know, I love this community. I love this date. because it was where we started to make Ridgecrest home for us. And it's been our comparison ever since. I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I will reiterate that as this is the time to meet with our loved ones, please look out for the people that don't have the loved ones. I know we recently lost a young individual in our community to a car crash. My heart goes out to the family, especially at this time where you will gather together and the seat will be empty. There are a lot of individuals who hide their pain and their loneliness, and it's a tough time to go through. Depression and anxiety is a plague on our nation, and so please look out for the individuals that don't have those social networks that you may have, and try to be that bridge for them. Try to let them know that they're loved, that they're cared for, especially in this time of giving. Not all gifts are presents. Your presence in their life may just be that gift. So with that.
Mr. Mayor, can you remind the public of our groundbreaking tomorrow?
Yes. We are ribbon cutting, groundbreaking for Penny Pool tomorrow at 1. I welcome everyone to be there. Mr. Reed, I really would love to see you in a Cousin Eddie outfit. I'm just saying, you don't have to give me anything for Christmas. That'd be a nice gift. And I hope the newspaper can capture it, put it front page of the paper. So, hold on, there's a mermaid option? All right. So with that, actually the last thing I do want to say again, thank you for the individuals that came prepared to speak and to speak in front of us. Again, it's a challenging thing. I appreciate you guys do that, keeping us honest and giving us things to think about as we go through. But everyone have a good holiday. Stay safe. If you're going to drink, don't drive. And we are adjourned. Thank you.